The enigmatic Goblin of Zaragoza, an in-depth look at the paranormal mystery that captivated the world. In the early autumn of 1934, a mysterious and sinister presence took residence in an apartment building on Gascon de Godor Street in Zaragoza, Spain. The haunting began with eerie laughter that reverberated through the walls of the building, sending shivers down the spines of its residents. For 2 months, this strange phenomenon would torment the inhabitants, particularly the Palazón family and their young maid, Pascuala Alcocer. Dubbed El Duende de Zaragoza, or the Goblin of Zaragoza, this enigmatic occurrence would captivate not only the city, but the entire world. As the London Times reported the story in November 1934. Despite extensive investigations, the source of the haunting remains unknown to this day. On the morning of September 27, 1924, the residents of the apartment building on Gascon de Godor Street were shaken from their slumber by a sinister cackling that seemed to come from all around them. This cacophony of laughter lasted for several minutes before abruptly stopping, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. The haunting would soon intensify, with the Palazón family, who lived on the second floor of the building, at the center of the paranormal activity. The mysterious sounds and voices seemed to emanate from the walls of their kitchen, particularly from their stove or its chimney. The disembodied voice that echoed through the apartment appeared to take a particular interest in the Palazón's young maid, Pascuala Alcocer. Over the next few days, the family would endure a tormenting type of haunting, with the voice transforming from what sounded like a little girl's to a guttural, demonic growl. As word of the strange occurrences spread, neighbors and curious passers-by began to congregate outside the building, straining to hear the disembodied voice. Local interest in the Goblin continued to grow, and soon even the police would be drawn into the mysterious events. Over the course of the months since the inexplicable voice first emerged, it had become an unsettling presence in the lives of the Palazón family and the building's other residents. Not only did the voice initiate and respond to inquiries, but it also displayed a peculiar fascination with Pascuala Alcocer, the young maid employed by the Palazón family. The voice seemed to derive some twisted form of amusement from taunting Pascuala. It would frequently call out her name, followed by chilling maniacal laughter that echoed through the building, causing distress to both the maid and those within earshot. As the days went by, the voice's fixation on Pascuala became increasingly unnerving, leaving her frightened and feeling targeted by the unseen entity. The strange occurrences within the building caught the attention of neighbors, who began to share their accounts of the bizarre events. The mounting concern eventually led to the involvement of the police, who arrived at the scene with the intention of solving the mystery. As the officers entered the building, the phantom voice, acutely aware of their presence, taunted them by exclaiming, "Cowards, you've called the police!" This proclamation, heard by both the Palazón family and the neighbors, only served to heighten the sense of dread that had enveloped the building. The voice's apparent ability to observe and react to its surroundings further fueled the anxiety of those involved. With the police now engaged in the investigation, the hope was that they could shed light on the source of the haunting and put an end to the torment that had plagued the Palazón family and their maid, Pascuala Alcocer. The psychiatrist on the scene, Joaquin Jiménez Oriera, took it upon himself to conduct an in-depth analysis of the young maid, Pascuala Alcocer. Separating her from the group, he proceeded with a series of questions designed to probe her psychological state and to determine if she was, in fact, the source of the voice. After carefully evaluating her responses and behavior, Oriera arrived at a startling conclusion. Pascuala was indeed behind the voice, but not in the way one might expect. He attributed the phenomenon to a remarkable combination of hysteria and subconscious ventriloquism, suggesting that Pascuala was unwittingly projecting the voice herself. Pascuala vehemently denied any involvement in the bizarre happenings and insisted that she was just as much a victim of the so-called goblin as everyone else in the household. In an attempt to validate his theory, Oriera and others proposed a test. They asked Pascuala to accompany them on a series of errands outside the home. They hypothesized that if she were truly the source of the voice, it would cease once she left the premises. However, to their utter disbelief, the voice not only persisted, but also continued to talk and cry out at times, even when Pascuala was nowhere near the building or street. This unforeseen development effectively debunked the psychiatrist's theory and cast a more sinister shadow over the entire situation. The gathered group of investigators and family members found themselves grappling with an ever greater sense of unease and uncertainty as they struggled to comprehend the true nature of the voice that had invaded their lives. As the voice continued to taunt and torment the Palazón family and Pascuala, the investigation intensified. Masons, carpenters, and plumbers were called to the scene to search for the source of the voice. They began in the cellar and methodically worked their way up, examining each room with meticulous attention to detail. Despite their best efforts, they found no evidence of a prankster or any conceivable hiding spots. One of the workers, an experienced mason, approached the stove in the Palazón family's kitchen, where the voice was believed to be emanating from. He suggested that they measure the chimney opening to gain a better understanding of the space and perhaps uncover any hidden compartments or pathways. Before he could proceed, however, the voice interjected, stating with surprising clarity, "You need not trouble, the diameter is just 6 inches." The investigators, taken aback by the voice's accurate knowledge of the stove's dimensions, decided to measure the chimney opening nonetheless. To their astonishment, the diameter was indeed exactly 6 inches, confirming the voice's claim. This revelation deepened the mystery surrounding the Goblin of Zaragoza, as it became increasingly clear that the voice had intimate knowledge of the building's structure and an uncanny ability to observe the actions of those present. The accuracy of the goblin's statement not only stumped the investigators, but also heightened the sense of unease among the Palazón family and the other residents of the building. The voice's capacity to provide precise details of the environment, coupled with its eerie omnipresence, cast an even darker shadow over the haunting. The seemingly supernatural nature of the voice continued to baffle all who attempted to uncover its origin, leaving them with more questions than answers as the investigation pressed on. The investigation continued to unfold, with the police trying to make sense of the perplexing situation. At that moment, the laughter that had been tormenting the residents erupted from the stove once again. The eerie sound sent shivers down the spines of everyone present, including the officers. One officer, his voice tense with frustration, yelled, "Who are you?" The room fell silent, save for the soft murmurs of curious onlookers gathered outside the street. The voice offered no reply. Another officer, attempting to uncover the entity's motive, asked, "What do you want?" Again, silence was the only response. Determined to make progress, someone in the room tried a different approach, asking, "Do you want money?" This time, the gravelly voice broke its silence and responded with a curt, "No." Shocked by the answer, the police persisted with their questions. "Do you want a job?" one asked. The voice, still as enigmatic as ever, replied, "No." Feeling increasingly desperate, someone in the room exclaimed, "Good God, man, what do you want?" To everyone's astonishment, the voice retorted, "I am not a man." This chilling response only served to heighten the sense of unease and confusion among the investigators. By November 1934, the haunting had gained international attention, with the London Times publishing a piece on the Zaragoza Goblin in the November 24th edition. As the investigation continued, the authorities took drastic measures, evacuating the building, cutting all electrical and telephone wires, and deploying the National Guard to maintain order. Still, the voice persisted, growing more aggressive and threatening to kill the members of the Palazón family. For young Arturo Grijalba, the son of the building's owner, the constant police presence and stress of the haunting took its toll on him and his family. Their once peaceful home had become a place of fear and unease. One day, as Arturo pleaded with his father to leave the apartment, he said, "Let's go, Dad, I'm tired and I want to sleep. This whole thing is crazy." Then, out of nowhere, the voice responded, "No, not crazy, little one." This would be the last time the Palazón family and Arturo would hear the voice. After 2 months of terror, the haunting suddenly ceased. No explanation for the source of the voice or the reason for its abrupt disappearance was ever found. In the years that followed, the Goblin of Zaragoza faded into obscurity. The apartment building on Gascon de Gotor Street was eventually demolished, and a new residential building fittingly named Edificio Duende, or Goblin Building, was erected in its place. For Pascuala Alcocer, the young maid at the center of the haunting, the experience left a lasting impact. Accused by the police, National Guard, and even the architects of being the source of the voice, Pascuala retreated from society, living a reclusive life in the city. In her old age, she granted an interview about the incident, and when asked where the voice had come from, she simply replied, "From within the wall." The Goblin of Zaragoza remains an enigmatic and captivating chapter in the annals of paranormal history. Despite extensive investigations, the true nature of the haunting has never been revealed. Was it the work of a clever prankster, a psychological phenomenon, or something truly supernatural? The answers to these questions may never be known. What remains is a haunting tale that continues to intrigue and mystify those who delve into the mysterious world of the unknown.